Hey everyone, and welcome back to my completionist playthrough of the Baldur's Gate Saga with SCS, and here we are looking at the aftermath of our recent battles, after we dismantled the cult, and made the Unseeing Eye Divine no longer. And their High Priest Gaul died here, and he has a special belt, and I think the Elite Guard Captain perished here. Yeah, he has a notable crossbow. We also got this shield recently, but we're going to talk more about all of those spoils once we are done looting here. Done scavenging everything. And now there's going to be a time for us to catch our breath a little bit. Have a little bit of a break. We're going to loot everything here. We're going to do some buying and selling. We're going to do some identifying. Alright, this container is full, so we're going to do a little switcheroo with Anomen's gem bag. And also while we're at it, I have held on to these helms for way too long. I am a collector, but we need to drop those, and I guess I'm going to just put the two best looking ones into my bag of holding. Alright, and in these rooms there's always going to be at least one container that's locked, so we're going to have this system with Kirinai and Senashira. Hopefully that will make us loot everything quite effectively here. And we're also going to loot the corpses of all of these cultists that we've disposed of. Did you? Okay, you opened that. Actually had some nice potions. And yeah, these stairs are so narrow that you can totally block yourself if you try to use them with more than one character at a time. Right, some level 5 scrolls.
Speak if it must be done.
Okay, I am going to take these projectiles. I've left some +1 bullets and darts, I think, earlier on, but these arrows I will take. We're also going to empty some of the containers in our inventory. We're going to have a lot more space very soon. Alright, and just one more room. We're almost done here. Actually, I am going to just take out some arrows here. Kind of equip them so that we can stash these projectiles. Right, and we are going to actually sell some projectiles very soon. I'm going to sell some stuff. And our inventory situation should improve. But anyway, now we're done there, but before we leave the entire area, we need to make a short trip back to the Beholder lair, because I totally forgot to loot the Unseeing Eye and the amulet it drops. High Skeleton Warrior, by the way. Alright, now we are truly done here, and we can go outside. Okay, we can actually identify it. Just provides us with 5% magic resistance. It's not much, but better than nothing.
Without doubt.
We can use it for now. Right, and now once we are outside, I guess everyone knows that the Unseeing Eye was revealed to be a false god and killed. So now this Shield Knight, the Knight of Helm, is going to dispose of this false prophet. Boom! Just, I guess the killing in the streets is going to begin, and the cleansing of the remainders of this cult. Anyway, also since we're here, our financial situation is good, and we also have access to the maximum discounts. I am just going to buy some stuff from these temples. And yeah, we don't need that key anymore. It's going to be some cheap stuff. Basically in preparation for some adventures later on, sometimes much later on, but you know, I just want to have some resources available already. Also, some things I could have bought earlier, like for example another one of these like crushing armor class belts. Anyway, some of these scrolls are going to come in handy later, or much later, but like I've said, I'm just going to already buy them. They are cheap enough. And this is just going to be a little preparation for some adventures later.
You are more than welcome in my sight.
Yeah, we're basically looking right now for some fire protections, and those are going to come in handy pretty soon. Alright, we're done here. We're going to also visit the other two temples,
If it must be done.
the Lathander one, and then we're going to report to the Temple of Helm and tell them that the mission was a success, that we have finally discovered what this Cult of the Unseeing Eye was all about. You know, I think I'm going to get another set of all of these scrolls, but from the Temple of Helm, I think I'm just going to get the scrolls of protection from fire. If I can stop misclicking. Alright, protection from undead we're not going to take. That's going to be it.
I am listening.
Alright, now we're going to report to High Watcher Oisig and receive the reward for disposing of this Unseeing Eye cult. And yeah, here we have these boots with 50% electrical resistance. It's another case of, you know, not that much, I guess, but it's something.
Your return was foreseen, though what you would say is unknown.
So yeah, we can explain that it was a beholder cult in the very heart of Helm's site. You have done a great service removing it. We will send clergy to remove all taint of its presence. Well, it seems like it has already begun, that process. To your reward, such service would earn greatness for one of the flock, but you are occupied elsewhere and will have to be content with mere gold and trinkets. So of course this is another reference that now it would be a time if we played a cleric protagonist to actually receive our cleric stronghold. If we were a neutral aligned cleric, we would be able to become a member of this temple. And of course, if we are a good aligned cleric or an evil aligned cleric, it wouldn't be High Watcher Oisig giving us this quest, but the appropriate equivalent of him, of his and the other temples. And yeah, he also mentions Guardian Telwyn, but of course we have already completed his quests. So we got 7,000 gold, and we got this absolutely abysmal mace at this point. After such an epic quest line with beholders and all of these fights, you get a mace +1 that can slow for only 2 rounds, and it still allows a save versus spell at a +3 bonus. I mean, is this a joke, High Watcher Oisig?
Speak.
Are you mocking me? Dost thou mockest me? Anyway, we have made some purchases.
Quickly and precisely.
Almost forgot to get the protection from fire scrolls here. I was so insulted by High Watcher Oisig's reward that I almost forgot to get these scrolls of protection from fire. Anyway, we have done some purchases. Now it is time to do some selling.
What is it?
And we're going to do that in the docks. We're going to go to the Shadow Thieves fence and finally get rid of some stuff. Some things that have been cluttering our inventory for a while now. And you know what? I think we should identify some stuff first. Oh wait, we can drop this with Edwin. Can do that. And because we are going to rework our spells, and I checked, and Edwin does not have the spell Lower Resistance, and I do want him to have it. I'm not going to waste like too much time on recording thinking about like you know what else I should scribe on Edwin. But just this one spell we can totally spare. 2 potions of genius for Edwin. We're going to learn that, and with his increased lore he might be able to identify some stuff for us already. And then for the rest we're going to use these scrolls that Animan carries. Alright, now you have 76 lore. Still not able to identify these cursed scrolls. Anyway, we are going to get rid of them now. Okay, we should be able to identify some of these basics. Alright, Girdle of Fortitude. This is a pretty nice item from Gaul, because it allows us to set our constitution to 18 on someone for 8 hours. So it's kind of like a potion of Fortitude. And this is going to be quite a difference on some of our characters, especially Senashira, because she doesn't have any hit point bonuses from her current constitution value. But I think we are mostly going to use it on Kirinai, actually, who is going to get a lesser benefit by just going up 2 constitution points, but her hit points are, well, almost her only defense. Now we have some goodies that we can use on her to improve her defenses, but you know, Senashira doesn't need these quite as many hit points because she has her mage protections, of course, but just to demonstrate the difference, because we are going to rest anyway soon. So now she has 119 hit points. Once we use this, boom, 155. So quite a nice buff, but we're going to give it to Kirinai for some later use. Okay, now back to identifying. Yeah, Cloak of Protection +1. Saving Grace, we got that from the avatar of Amaunator, once we have completed their business with the Rift device and whatnot, granting them the final release. And this is actually a pretty nice shield at this point in the game. It improves our armor class by 4, and we're going to give it to Animen. His shield right now gives him +2 armor class. Of course, these nice resistances and the casts of protection from normal missiles, but whenever we don't need these resistances, it's going to be a really nice shield for him to use. And now he is at -10 armor class, so I think I'm going to move this ring onto Jaheira, and now we have -10 and -9 on our frontliners, which is pretty nice. We also can identify probably these, yeah, the Gauntlets of Dexterity, way more difficult to obtain in Baldur's Gate 2 than they were in Baldur's Gate 1. Then from that guard captain of the Unseeing Eye, we get this heavy crossbow of accuracy. This is just going to get sold. Yeah, we have that Warhammer +2 from before. Okay, this is going to have to go for further, more advanced identification. Okay, and I guess that's it. So we can finally identify these cursed scrolls, and I think we are going to be able to sell them. And we can give a scroll of identify to Senashira, and we have this Skin of the Ghoul now, which is a decent armor with a nice save versus death boost from Theshel, the mayor of that undead town. But we don't really have a great person to use it on, so we're going to sell it. Alright, now it's time to also level up some of our guys. Keldorn is going to be level 11, and get some nice boosts. And Jaheira actually leveled up in both Fighter and Druid, so Fighter level 11 and Druid level 13. So pretty nice level up here. And she gets some more spells, although unfortunately low level spells. It almost doesn't matter what I give her here. Well, her Dispel Magic is not going to be too effective, although it is still level 13 Dispel Magic. We might go... You know what, this is not going to be anything that we need. We can do something like that. 2 Dispel Magics and 2 Protection from Fire are going to be okay. And here I am going to memorize that Neutralize Poison. And even though we have that stuff of curing, that can of course cure diseases, this spell also cures blindness and deafness. And sometimes in the game there are some pretty long-lasting blindness effects, so it's still nice to have that. Alright, and now it's time to finally get rid of some stuff. Alright, we can sell, yeah, 180 gold. Wasn't that worth it to keep these scrolls for so long? Okay, the gems I'm going to sell later, kind of like in between episodes. I'm going to do something like I've done before. But I am going to sell some of these scrolls. I don't want to get rid of, like, some of them I want to still hold on to, because we are going to have Imoen eventually, and I want to have, of course, some spells to fill the gaps in her spellbook. That's going to be quite empty. And of course all of these scrolls are, even level 1 scrolls, are still, you know, it's still 1,000 experience, but I'm not going to go out of my way to like collect all of these scrolls and like hold on to them, especially since I don't do the scribing in a way where I, you know, unscribe some spells from my spellbook and then scribe them again for more experience. So it's not that important. We can definitely get rid of some of these kind of basic low-level spells that we're not going to use. Yeah, just to get some more space. We definitely don't need Cone of Cold and Cloud Kill. We have wands for that. Alright, just to free up some inventory space. Now Jahira can finally... we can sell this stolen scimitar +1. Okay, Keldorn. Now we can also sell some stuff. We don't need another set of this full plate mail, so it's going to sell nicely. Alright, and our financial situation is pretty good again, and I think I'm going to get like some more minor globes and maybe some more improved invisibility. Do you have anything else nice? There was normal invisibility, but yeah, this is going to be enough. Oh, and also, we were supposed to sell some of our projectiles. Like, I'm going to sell these bolts of biting. They sell pretty well, and we're not going to use them. I am going to hold on to the bolts of lightning, because we will eventually use some crossbow shots, I guess, but we can get rid of the bolts of biting, and we can also get rid of a lot of arrows of fire, which are kind of the weakest magical arrows. And I think that's going to be it. Another nice portion of money for us.
What is it?
And now we are,
It will be done.
I think, ready. We are not ready. Because, of course, I buffed up Edwin's intelligence, but I did not scribe that lower resistance. And we should have a couple of scrolls of them, yeah. Alright, learn that, Edwin. Alright, we're going to rearrange our spells a little bit later before we rest. And now we are ready to progress to our next big adventure, but we are going to dismiss Keldorn for just a little bit. We are going to re-recruit him later, but this next adventure I want to do without him, because there is going to be an NPC to recruit. Alright, so we can get that, and... Alright, everything else can stay on Keldorn. So yeah, we are going to temporarily remove him, and we're going to get him back later.
I trust you wish to continue our journey.
And he's going to go back to the Order of the Radiant Heart, and we're going to meet up with him later over there. Let's also, on our way to Umar Hills, which is our next destination, let's just stop by Diarni's Keep and see if we have a quest already here. Because it's day 15.
Greetings, children.
Alright, nope, not yet. That's cool. After our next adventure, probably we're going to have a quest available here, a certain dispute that we're going to have to solve. Alright, so, like I mentioned, Umar Hills. Finally, we can go back to Imnisvale and investigate what it is exactly that troubles the townsfolk here, that haunts this village.
Yes?
Alright, first actually let's go and speak with Minister Lloyd. He's going to have a little follow-up to the situation with Madolf. And also, if you remember, here we bought some kids some bastard swords and some ale, and we're going to talk with some of their parents that are going to be really worried, or they're going to scold us for what we have done. Anyway, first, Minister Lloyd, he has spoken with Madolf, and they have made that kind of agreement that the ogres are going to protect Imnisvale in exchange for some trading opportunities, and the merchants are looking forward to that, so all around good stuff. His wife is going to scold us. Whatever are you thinking buying our son, Valsben, anything? Now he's gone and run off to act like a fool and probably get himself killed. Shame on you.
Yes?
So that's one. The other one of the boys was called Neller, and he's the son of Nelek.
I have nothing you wish.
Yeah, but them fool kids, swords and spirits, they're probably running all over the countryside, foolish as you please. What were you thinking? And if you only buy them swords, I think he says that his son is good for nothing. So the sword is not going to be like much good in his hands, I guess. And also here, there's Johanna. I guess the parent of their leader, Dirbert. My poor drunken baby is leading a pair of other boys around the countryside, and he's armed. How did this happen? I'm so worried. Those ogres are going to eat him. I just know it. So yeah, those are the parents. And we're going to have a follow-up. We're going to see what happened with these boys, but first let's check up on Madolf. He's going to be pretty pleased, of course. He's going to tell us about that agreement again, and he's going to give us a shield. And again, we are going to be directed to Mirella's cabin to investigate there. Apparently he was able to see something from a distance one time, something troublesome, and yeah, we're going to, of course, investigate in a little bit. But first we have to visit this cave. And here we're going to get our answer as to what happened with the boys.
Don't hurt me!
So here's Dirbert. Yeah, run from the dragon! Run before it kills us all! So they are in this situation where they have mistaken, or they mistook this gibberling for a dragon.
Yes, it will be done.
So that's of course the outcome when you give them both the swords and the ale. If you only give them the swords, there's going to be a shadow here, and they're also going to run from it, saying that adventuring is not as fun as it seemed before. And if you only give them the ale, they are going to be passed out drunk further in the cave. And that's basically it. Alright, and since we have to rest anyway, I think we're going to go to the inn first and rest twice, so that it's going to be nighttime, so that it's a little bit more spooky, you know, when we go and investigate what's happening in the town. So here this is the shield from Madolf, Shield of the Lost, armor class +3 and 5% magic resistance. It's pretty decent depending on when you get it. Right now for us it's going to just serve as gold. Okay, and now we can treat ourselves, I guess, to a noble room and rest a little bit after our adventures. Alright, gold has been placed in your keep. That means we're going to, you know, get the 500 gold in taxes once we visit our fighter stronghold in the Diarnese lands. Alright, and now it's nighttime, and we can investigate Mirella's cabin and see what clues we can find in there. And while exploring the area here during the night, there's a chance for some shadows to spawn.
Speak. Yes, it will be done.
I guess they don't want to spawn for us
What is it?
at this time. Anyway, Mirella's cabin is going to be right here, and in there we're going to be able to find some clues finally, and get a new location placed on our map.
Certainly. Speak. I am listening.
Of course, we got directed to Mirella's cabin from a couple of places, from a couple of people, I guess. A couple of them told us to go in here and investigate. Actually, there were some shadows from outside, I guess, then followed us here inside. So we're going to have to check out Mirella's journal in a second. Actually, what we're going to do is some more turn undead, I think, and just run with everyone else, especially with Edwin. Run for your lives. Boom! I love that. So yeah, a quick way to dispose of some minor undead. Alright, let's check out this journal of Mirella. She mentions Katya, that child that they kind of... that she developed a friendship with, I guess. Right, dark creatures roam the forests. Several townspeople have been slain by some unknown predator. Everyone seems to have their own opinion of what is doing the killing. The strangest thing is that the bodies are disappearing in the morning. This leaves me baffled, for most signs point to a pack of wolves that have been in the area for a long time. And of course wolves don't steal bodies. Or perhaps I should say wolf-like creatures. At night, when I've been patrolling, I've often caught shadowy glimpses of these wolves running alongside me. I've tried to attract their attention, but they ignore me. I find this most strange, as if the pack is being controlled by someone else. Years ago I spoke with the pack leaders, and they were cordial. Now they either flee from me, or, and I fear to say this, they stalk me. Right, so basically she sets out to venture forth into the forest, and also mentions the growing darkness in there, even at like daytime hours at noon. Apparently the the forest is covered in darkness and gloom, and of course she never returned from that journey. And here on the ground we can also see a letter and some kind of mutilated corpse. And here's a letter from Mazzy to Walag. So Mazzy, of course, being the leader of that adventuring party that Minister Lloyd hired before us. And apparently Walag was one of their members that was supposed to join them later. And this is another source of getting the other location on our world map, the other being Mirella's journal. Here we have a map, I guess, drawn by Mazzy. And in Mirella's journal, I guess there was a description of where she was going to investigate. And yeah, now we can finally go to that other location, which seems to be the source of that darkness. So of course we had these different theories from the people, and you know, aside from the theory about the ogres, which was untrue, the other two are kind of true, because as we're going to see, these wolves are going to be involved somewhat, and also kind of like an ancient horror figure from legend, like that witch Umar. There's going to be someone like that once we go in and investigate. So here we have the temple ruins location, which we can go there. And apparently there's a shadow thief who has just now died, and we can get his journal. I guess he was a fighter thief because he had a composite longbow. Anyway, here we have Lelin's journal. Lelin, almost or very similar to Welin, that child spirit from the graveyard district in Athkatla. And you know what? That was really a pinnacle of evil, you know? Like, not only do you murder a child, but also take their teddy bear as some sort of a sick trophy. So, anyway, Lelin here in his journal writes, "Nothing is as I had imagined that it would be. I expected to become a hero when I joined Mazzy Fenton's party. I expected that we would slay monsters with ease and bask in the glory of victory as they do in the old tales. But it is not as it seems. I did not expect the drudgery of the march, the casual horror of slaughter, the smell of death everywhere. I swear I can taste it. We've killed so many shadows and black wolves that my brain has become as numb as my arm. I am covered in ichor, but have not the energy to even clean myself." And he's going to praise Mazzy for her courage and her wit, and basically there's going to be a hint for a certain mirror that can reflect light in a certain way to deal with the shadows later on. Anyway, unfortunately Lelin didn't make it, and this okay, it's 6 in the morning, but even in the daytime hours this forest is going to be pretty dark. Of course, that's the thing about it. And here there's a werewolf called Anath saying, "You will not steal my vengeance." And she runs back to her cave, and we're going to investigate that later. So yeah, there's going to be some shadows, some shadow wolves in the area. We're going to go into that cave in a second. But yeah, pretty dark forest here, enveloped in that growing gloom by some kind of unnatural force. So yeah, here's a shade wolf, for example. Right, anyway, let's go inside that cave and see what's up.
Yes, it will be done.
Best you make peace with your demons before I send you to meet them.
Meet him. Anyway, now she's in her human form. "Curse you and curse the world. Can a wolf not enjoy her last meal in peace?" So this looks pretty dire. "You disgusting fiend, make your peace with the world, for soon you shall die." But anyway, she's going to explain something here. "I go willingly to my doom. I wish only to avenge my fate and that of my pack by destroying the Shade Lord." "Explain yourself. Who is this Shade Lord? What has he done with your pack?" "Declare yourself." "This place was not always like this, floating in a false and unholy darkness. It began only a short time ago. The ruins to the east of the den have long been a place of foreboding to my pack and me. We had no desire to tread the ground of the fallen temple. The temple was once dedicated to Amaunator, a god of the sun, and a great prophetess is buried within. It was holy ground once, though now it is fouled. Would you say that the sanctity of this place has been fouled?" Of course, the kind of a classic quote from Diablo 1. Anyway, it is obvious that Amaunator's power has waned, for if this were still his consecrated ground, my doom would never have arisen from the bowels of the temple. Some weeks ago, muted rumblings were heard beneath the temple. We paid little heed to them until the skies darkened and the shadows deepened. It was high noon when it happened, and the pack gathered so that I might calm them. I thought it to be an eclipse. It was not. The Shade Lord came among us then. He dominated my wolves, my children, with a glance. I changed form and leapt at his darkness, but he merely laughed. Anath, he said, bend to my will. You shall be the means of my revenge. He walked amongst the terrified wolves and killed them all with a touch. Once they were all dead, his darkness reached out to the corpses of my children and animated them as shade wolves. Numb with terror and sorrow, I ran. I've hidden these last few weeks from the shades that once were wolves, and from the darkness that creeps out from the temple that once imprisoned the Shade Lord. I will hide no more. This man I killed only to gather strength to face the Shade Lord. He wants only to kill, and those he kills, be they man-thing or wolf, arise as shades in his army. Will you allow me this revenge, or do I have to fight you as well? So, I really don't want to let this slide that she just killed some kind of an innocent man. I'm not sure if this might have been Walag, or maybe that corpse in Mirella's cabin was Walag, or maybe that was some kind of remains of Mirella. But anyway, and this is... I don't want to ignore it, but, you know, we will join forces with Anath here. Yeah, we will help you kill him. Kill the Shade Lord. So yeah, she's going to go ahead to the east, to the temple ruins. And we can scavenge some minor goodies from her lair.
What is it?
Well, of course, we don't have a lot of space here in our inventory.
Speak.
Okay, and I guess we're going to proceed east, venture forth deeper into this dark forest in the next episode. So for now, I thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you next time.